Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to An Idiot's Guide to Warframe. Today I want to go over some of the early choices for gear when you're starting out. I'm going to show you a good Warframe to farm early on, as well as which weapons I personally think are the best for progressing farther through the star chart. You're going to want to get through as many planets and missions as possible. In order to do this, you're going to need a weapon and a Warframe that can function well without a large amount of resources. Now I'm going to be doing this solo, but as you'll see, there are definitely some advantages to playing with other people. Making progress through the star chart can be difficult as a new player, but it's to your advantage to do so. Not only because the first time you complete a new mission it gives you mastery, but simply by progressing, you'll pick up new resources and level weapons and warframes that will help you later on. However, for this video we're just going to focus on a few. Which brings me to Rhino. Rhino is definitely one of the best early warframes, not only because it can boost your damage, but his 2 also makes you essentially invincible in most situations, making him an excellent choice for players starting out to invest their time and resources in. So you're probably wondering where to acquire Rhino's pieces. His main blueprint is available on the market for 35,000 credits. The rest of his pieces, however, drop off of a boss called the Jackal. So as I mentioned in my previous video, the bosses in this game are called assassination targets. This one can be accessed through Mercury on a mission called Vasa. Each time you defeat this boss, it will drop one piece of Rhino. Now the loot is random, so it could take a couple times to get the pieces you need. I was able to get all of the parts in 4 runs. However, on average it usually takes about 6 to 7 runs. And I'll put a link in the description that'll show exactly what the percentage is on each piece. The fight itself isn't too hard. All you have to do is shoot one of the legs until it gets stunned, and shoot the main body. You just rinse repeat that until it dies. Should take about 4 times. After you finish farming all the Rhino pieces is where it gets a little bit tricky. You're going to need to build the neuroptics, the chassis, and the systems. As you can see here, I've already built both the neuroptics and the chassis. However, to build the systems you need plastids, which don't drop until later in the star chart. This is where you can run into a bit of a wall, because the first planet that starts dropping them is Phobos. One thing you can do is ask for a taxi to a plastids farm. This means that a player with a node unlocked in a system that drops plastids will invite you and hopefully help you farm the resources you need, which only drop on certain planets. You can easily view these resources by going to your star chart and hovering over extractors on specific planets to see what resources they drop. However, for the purposes of this guide, I'm going to do this solo, which means that my new goal is to make it to Phobos in order to farm plastids. Okay, so now that we've talked about the Warframe, I want to talk about the weapons I'm going to be focusing on. Early, getting enough damage to progress can be a little difficult. Because of this, weapons like the Heck that are shotguns are very good. This gun is going to be my best friend for a very long time, especially once I get the Steel Meridian mod, Scattered Justice. However, as you can see, this requires MR4, which means it's going to take a couple days before I can build and start using it. On a similar note, the melee weapon I'm going to be looking for is the Atterax. Now, I can build this weapon right now, except I need argon crystals, which only drop in the void. Again, you can take a taxi to a node that drops them. However, for me, it's going to take a little while before I'm able to get this weapon up and running. In the meantime, I'm going to be leveling weapons that I find and probably won't keep, which means that as soon as I level them to 30, I'm going to sell them on my inventory screen for credits. Don't be afraid to do this early on, especially if you're going for specific weapons like me. The reason I'm doing it like this is because I have limited resources, and I'm trying to save as much platinum as possible. Once again, Warframe is a game that takes a lot of patience, especially if you want to spend as little money as you can. There are also a couple things I want to go over with modding early. Now, you're not going to have much capacity in either your frames or your weapons, so leveling the right mods can really help to alleviate frustration. As you can see here, I'm leveling Vitality and Stretch. I mostly just chose to do these two because I know they're good later on. You don't really want to level any of the damage mods, considering they take endo and I don't have very much in stock at the moment. Weapons are similar. You mostly just want to focus on damage mods for primaries and secondaries, and range is also useful for melee. But overall, you should be aiming for survivability on your frame and generic damage for weapons. The other important mod I want to talk about is Vacuum. Vacuum is literally the greatest mod in Warframe. It's the reason why the majority of the player base uses Sentinels instead of the Kavats or Kubros. This mod picks up loot for you. You don't have to walk over loot. It makes it so much easier to just walk around and have this suck up loot with a max rank and 11 meter radius. It really is a huge quality of life, and you should definitely be getting this early on. Other than that, it's mostly up to you. I'm sure you can experiment and decide what's good for yourself. These are just my suggestions based on what I know works. It certainly doesn't mean that you have to do this in order to progress. I'm just trying to provide some straightforward and simple information to help players that might be struggling early on. Well, that does it for today. If you have any questions, please be sure to leave a comment. And if you found this video helpful, please leave a like and subscribe for future content.